Welcome everyone to another episode of Triforce Heroes. This is the show where me, Nico, and Corey do a tier list for all things Zelda. And this time we're doing one for box arts.
Box art.
The Legend of Zelda.
I love box art.
Box art.
Very cool.
This was a tricky one. Corey, you were compiling and there's too many to do all box art, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of box art. So what we're gonna do is just the North American box art, and pretty much only the mainline games first edition releases. So no collector's editions, no special box.
That's cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Yeah, but we should give a special shout out, because I think when I usually look at like the Japanese or European box art, I'm usually like, dang, this is way better. So
yeah, pretty much every time.
Almost always, yes.
But we're ranking the ones that we looked at as a kid, and then I guess now as adults. This is sort of it's an A tier list. It's not the S tier of box arts. But it's gonna be fun anyway. It's gonna be fun.
We're just ranking the stuff that we're used to.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, but if you want to drop your alt tier lists of Japanese covers or something, or maybe we'll do that in a couple of years down the line. Who knows? All right. Any other qualifiers before we get into it?
I don't think so.
I think that's pretty much it. Let's do it. It's totem time.
Totem time?
Totem time.
All right, I'm going to go one hand.
Whoa, so strong. Wow. You didn't pump an iron, Nico?
Sure have.
It's impressive.
Thanks.
Here we are. I don't even know where to begin.
There's a lot.
I'll start with the first one there, because it's just jumping out to me, I guess. But let's do A Link Between Worlds.
A Link Between Worlds for the 3DS.
Cool. Great game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm looking at this one and I think it's pretty solid. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't really jump out to me, but I was like, it's pretty classic of Zelda to be like the gold cover with the logo.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't fully jump out to me.
This is something that specifically the North American box arts like to do, where they have a really cool artwork image and then they just overlay gold on it.
Yeah.
For some reason. And every time I'm like, just give us the full color artwork, because like the other regions, it's the same thing except that forest is not gold. So that's kind of a point down for me, but I think I'm looking at either A tier or B tier, just because this is
higher than I thought.
Well, this is a really dope callback, this artwork, to that official artwork from A Link to the Past, where you can see the Master Sword like through the trees and there's light shining down on it, which is something that we also get a little hint back to in Breath of the Wild. This is kind of meant to be like a recreation of that artwork.
Yeah.
And I also think it's really cute that you can see like drawing Link on the back of that stone there. It's kind of hard for us to see because it's a little small, but like you can see
pull it up bigger elsewhere.
He's there.
You can see little portrait Link on the back of there, which is a nice hint to what the mechanic is going to be. So I think this is an upper tier, but definitely not like top.
I would say it definitely gets points for one, it's showing off the gimmick of the game, showing off being able to go into the wall, but also the logo itself is really cool. The way it represents Low Rule.
Dope.
I think it has some really cool details, like you said, like honoring back to the old artwork, showing Link, showing the other Triforce. Like, I think it's smart, but it's unfortunate that it's just got this gold overlay for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a little less, like I said, it's less like evocative. It does feel like they got the art, like you said, did the gold overlay, and then they just kind of put the logo there. Like it doesn't feel like there's more simplistic Zelda covers, which are kind of some of my favorites that are going to be my favorites on here. But I feel like just the way they're formatted and laid out, it's so much more striking. Whereas this is like, it feels not as high effort. You know what I mean?
I would say it's a B tier for me.
All right, we can do B if you guys want. I think, Goo, I think we might disagree big time on some of these.
Okay, yeah.
I'm getting the sense.
That's fine.
So why don't
we have a whole list down here hidden.
All right, how about this then? Let's follow that up with another 3DS one. Let's do Ocarina of Time 3D.
Okay, with a similar issue.
Yeah, similar issue.
Yeah.
So
I think this one's kind of worse to me. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do think this one's worse. It's got the same, like the gold thing, it's like I get why they're trying to do that. I don't think it's a good decision, but like the layout of this box art, it's kind of lame because it has, first of all, it is actually old artwork from like Ocarina of Time. It's not even new artwork of Link on Epona at the bottom there.
Wow.
And then what they do is they just have like kind of little ornate designs around, and they fall into that whole four corners design thing where they put a little graphic in each of the four corners of the box, and it looks really flat, and even worse with the gold. So I would say this is one tier below A Link Between Worlds.
Agreed. These all feel, like I said, they feel just kind of like slapped together, like someone just threw it together in Photoshop, like real quick. You know what I mean? Not they're not ugly. They get the job done, but they don't rise my emotions or anything when I look at them.
Yeah, I mean,
Nico,
it's a good. I like the artwork on it, but like you said, it's not like it's new for the 3DS version. It's overlaid in gold. It's fine. It's a cool stance. That's about it.
Yeah, this is another one where like it's a shame we're not doing the other regions because they use awesome new artwork of Link on Epona riding through Hyrule Field with the castle in the background. It's so nice. So yeah, I'd say C tier for this one.
Yeah, I would agree. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, gosh, we could stick to at least the DS, and
Sure.
like why not? How about? Do we have Phantom Hourglass?
Yeah, Phantom Hourglass is on there.
Am I blind? Oh, it's right there. There we go. I was like, I swear we have it. I was like, I can't find it. There we go. This is better, in my opinion. One, you've got the two important characters, Link and Lineback. And you've got what I think is the ghost ship right behind them.
Yeah, it is.
With like the typical like Wind Waker art style, like kind of spirally explosions. And they've both got their stance. You know, Link's got his shield out and his sword, and Lineback is holding his map. All he cares about is his treasure. I think it kind of shows a little bit about like their relationship even in this, like just the way that they're standing on the cover. And I think that's really cool. For a okay game, I think the box art is better. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's not as, again, it's similar, but I think it pulls it off a little bit better. I think too, just not the overlay thing there.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like them kind of standing in front of like that sort of material. That's like the old map. You know, it's definitely serviceable. I still wouldn't say it's awesome, but I would say it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad cover art.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at B. Personally, I think the A Link Between Worlds one is much better than this one, but I also think this one is much better than Ocarina of Time 3D. So I would probably put this in B.
I would agree with B for this.
Yeah, B's fine.
Cool.
Okay. So it's my pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna go with one that I think might surprise you that I really like, and that's Four Swords Adventures.
Oh, and I totally agree.
Okay.
I think this is just a cool piece of artwork out here. It's like kind of intense, and And I don't know. I just really like the like key artwork, and then I don't know. Then it's like they just put the little logo up there, but the way it's framed and like the actual piece of art is just pretty cool. Like those intense links. Does that surprise you, Corey?
I mean, I'm not. It's kind of cool. It doesn't really do much for me. I don't think. I don't think that represents the tone of the game like at all.
No, not really.
The game's not really like that.
How are you going to represent this?
Links.
Oh god, yeah.
This game is about multiplayer, and for another one we're going to talk about later, I think Triforce Heroes does a much better job at portraying the tone of the game in a kind of similar style of game. Whereas this, it's like really dark and brooding, and it's also just a bunch of soldiers that are in the shadow. Like I kind of just design wise and color wise, it's kind of dull for me.
Interesting.
You know, I wish there was a little bit more to draw me in. I wouldn't look at that on a shelf and be like, oh, I gotta play that. You know.
See, I had the opposite effect where I saw that and I was like, dang, that looks intense. And then like, I actually don't really like the art style of the game as much.
Yeah.
Not that I want the game to be dark and brooding either. I just thought like, oh, this looks like cool, you know, but maybe it doesn't suit the game. I definitely give you that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the artwork is cool. Just the way it like shows off each of the 4 links kind of like in like literally in like a spotlight. But I can see it. It really doesn't reflect the game itself.
It's what Zelda opinion gets you this reaction?
Oh man.
Type image.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Okay,
it seems like you guys like it more than me. My personal vote is C tier.
Okay. I mean,
I like it more than that. Like a lot more than that.
I was thinking I liked it. I don't know. I was thinking A, I guess, but I mean B.
Oh my goodness.
Like, it's one that I think is more of like, oh, this is pretty good, and I look at it and I was like, oh, this is cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You go B, right? That's not unreasonable.
We're just getting all the B's out of the way now.
That's fair.
I think that's smart.
A tentative B. Do we got to do that?
That's another concession of something going in B that I want to be in a different one, but that's fine.
Well, you got one up and one. You got one up and one down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's. It's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Since I mentioned it, let's go with Triforce Heroes, our namesake. So
I've got to pull these up just to get a larger.
Yeah, you should. I think I've been looking at them all afternoon, so I know what's in them. Yeah, but it definitely helps to get a big look. I think what I like in most box arts, I like when it's dramatic, I like when it's colorful, and I like when there's good previews. I like when it showcases what the game is gonna be, while not letting too many cards be shown, right? So I generally like ones where there's a big focus centerpiece, like these 3 links in the front, and then you just have an array of bosses and enemies and stuff in the back and cool stuff in the distance. For me, this is an A tier box art.
I would agree, honestly, with A tier, because it's so fun. The art style is great.
It is fun.
And like you said, it's colorful. Each of the links kind of have their own personality in there. I don't know. Overall, I think it's great. I would agree with A tier.
I would say I lean more towards something more simple than like putting a bunch of elements in like this. But I do think this is like a cool piece of art, and I like the links having different, items and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I do like it. I can be happy with an A. It's not my favorite necessarily, but I think it looks pretty good.
It's not what you look for when you're playing a Zelda game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think it's really cool. Is it my turn?
Me too.
Is it my turn? It's my turn.
Yes.
Okay, let's do Link's Awakening on the Switch here, which things are getting a little moved. So there we go. Show it off a little bit better.
Cute.
It is very cute. I love the art style of this game.
Link is cute. Link
so is cute. Adorable. And it's similar to like what you were just talking about. One, it's obviously it's very colorful. It does a little bit to kind of show off the setting of the game, at least, where, you know, you've got the windfish back there on the egg, and you've got, I don't know, you get to see a little bit of like how the world is, and it looks like it's straight out of the game, which is awesome. It is a little unfortunate that there's like nothing happening. It's like Link standing in a field.
Yeah. That's
the unfortunate part, but it's pretty. I mean, if this game did anything right, this remake, it's the art style. In my opinion, I think it was perfect. To represent.
You don't really see the game from this angle either.
That's true. It is a different angle.
That's kind of cool.
Which is, I do think that's cool. I think it's great box art. It's just unfortunate that there's like nothing happening.
Yeah. I think this has a lot of some of that design aspect stuff that I'm looking for in box art. But I actually, it is kind of cool that it's almost not really, because this is high resolution rendered art and it's not like actual game stuff, but it is very indicative of what the game looks like. And I kind of wish it wasn't. I kind of wish it was a little less, because there's artwork, official artwork out there of like Link using the hook shot to save Marin, and I love that art style. It's a little bit more like cartoony, and I feel like if they had this same design with that style, it would probably be S tier for me. But I think I'm looking at A tier, just because it has a lot of the stuff I'm looking for. This is also another callback to some older official art for the original game, where you can see where you can see the windfish's egg in the background and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a little like less, like I do like something that evokes like the style of the game. Like I think Triforce Heroes is probably a better example of a case of that I like, where it like evokes the game, but it's not. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm similar about this, where I'm not as high on it as you two, but if you both feel like I'm also not. That's not one I really would fight for either, because I do think like, yeah, it looks nice.
Nico and I like the cute, colorful stuff.
We like cute and colorful.
That's the best.
But it doesn't have to be cute and colorful to be good.
No, it doesn't.
So I'm putting it in an A. How you guys feel?
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool. Good. All right, Goo.
It's me? Okay. All right. I'm going to start getting some... We can get a little controversial. You know, I'm going to go with one that I think is awesome, and it's the original Majora's Mask cover.
Okay.
Because I like I said, I do love... Like, all the other Zelda covers up to this have had a thing that I like, which is, like, nice, simple look at that logo. You know, pristine, looking cool. And then this one, I remember having it as a kid, and it's like, this is the messed up one.
Something's going on
right here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was like...
I don't feel so good.
But it's, like, abstract, you know? It's not, like... I don't know, I like that, where it's, like, the cover doesn't... It gives you the tone, and it, like... I kind of like when you don't even really see the characters or anything, or it's just like whoop, and you see it and you're like, what is that, you know?
I will say it's very cool how the mask is like hiding behind the logo and like peering through, like it's kind of
like peeking out,
looming behind. Exactly. But then two, the background, you know, if you're just like looking at the box art and you've never played this game, you're thinking, whoa, that's trippy, like that looks really cool, like what's going on? But if you know the game, you can see that that's like literally the magic coming out of the mask. And like, you know, that's like, you see this in the game. It's obviously stylized differently, but this is in the game. And I think it's really cool. This is part of the reason I wanted to play this game as a kid.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
It's weird.
For me, it's S tier.
I would agree.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Corey.
Wow. I mean, I don't I think you might have been expecting me to dislike it. I actually also really like this one.
Okay.
I'm definitely not that high. I'm not S tier. You guys both want to put it in S tier, so that's fine if that's where it goes. I'm okay with that. It is bare bones, like just the logo on a background, but that weird funky colored background, I think it's really indicative of both the game itself and the tone, and the logo. It's like this it's just done really well on this one. So
with as much as
with
as much as it's actually giving, it's still at least like portraying how the game is.
Exactly.
You know? I'm a fan. We might have a little bit of a bias, but you know what? That's okay.
I probably would have put it in B tier personally, but like I'm okay with that.
Okay.
It is
interesting.
Cool. There's been some good diplomacy so far.
We've been very nice to each other.
We'll see where that ends. All right, is my turn?
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one that's relatively simplistic. Let's go with the original Legend of Zelda.
All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
So this is you know, it is really simple, and I'm not going to lie, from a design aspect I do wish they did more. But that was a stroke of marketing genius, whoever thought to put that little window in the box so that you could see the gold cartridge.
It's so sick.
That's absolutely the highlight of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And that's the impetus to why like so many of these are like gold, because Zelda is like the gold cartridge game.
It's associated with gold, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the gold standard of gaming.
I think that was really smart from the actual design perspective. Like, it's pretty cryptic and it's not necessarily super indicative of what's in the game, but also like that's kind of fine because it was the first game and it is kind of a cryptic game as far as Zelda games go. So I think it's fitting in that aspect at least. I think this one I'm probably looking around B too.
I would probably agree. I think another thing to think about is look at the other like game cartridge or game covers of the time. This is a more simple one compared to a lot of what you would see. Unless you're talking games like tennis, but like, you know, a lot of games would just have like these really busy, like it's some wild art going on and you can't really tell, but you're like, wow, that looks cool. And then for Zelda, they're like, let's just like keep it chill. Here's a crest. Let's let him see the gold cartridge. This is going to be like, we want to like present it to you. They're not like trying hard to sell it, you know, like this big, it doesn't need to be a big thing because that was the game on its own. And for being like the very first one, I think they did a great job. It's not spectacular, but like it got the job done. And I think it portrayed an idea of what the game is.
What do you think, Goo?
Well, I'm going to contradict you guys. This is S tier. This is awesome. I love it. It's simple. It's evocative. It is one that I think jumps off the shelf. Like I think there are a lot of great NES covers. There are a lot of ones where they have like the format styling and it's just like copy paste. But then there's some with like pretty beautiful artwork. But I love this one. I think you said it. We already said it with the gold aspect, but that does like already set it apart. But then I just love this piece of shield art. I think is beautiful, and I think that's just something about. I think I just love that. I love that era, even though they copied the same like font and stuff from in Adventure of Link, and then like the logos look similar in some of those little games. They do look, to me, they look a little bit more like handcrafted as opposed to like we took the logo that we did and slapped it on the game, you know. And so, I don't know. For me, this is like, I love it. I think it's S tier.
I definitely think it's better than a lot of the other fairly simple covers. Because it does feel like it, like you said, kind of handcrafted compared to some other ones that's literally just the logo with some pre-rendered art from the game, you know?
Yeah, that window idea. Now that I'm thinking about the crest, like it's not like you see a crest in the game or anything, but when you look at the things on the crest, it's like the lion, the key. What's that in the bottom right? That's a heart,
A
right?
heart, yeah.
Those are all in the game.
And then the top left is gold. So it is kind of like the gold could be like the treasure of like literal secrets you're finding, and it is,
or like
it is a little
the
bit more indicative than
basically.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense actually. Don't listen to what I said.
It also is like the tone of the original two games before like Zelda gets even further into its own style. It's like more classic fantasy.
Yeah,
and it's meant to be like discovered, and so there's something like it feels classic fantasy, but it's like it's not like totally telling you the tone of the game. It is like, what's going on here? All I know is it's like probably a fantasy game in a cool way.
I would be okay going up to A.
I think it at least deserves A. Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
Boom.
I think it's really cool.
Here, just I'll appease the goo.
Just so it looks like it's higher.
There we go.
It looks great.
It looks higher, right?
We got a stripe of gold there.
Yeah, we do. I like it.
That is pretty cool.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
All right, let's grab Minish Cap. What do we think about Minish Cap? It's
pretty good. It's got Link on there.
It's got Link.
It's got Link.
It's got a background.
Stuff in the background.
It's got.
There's not stuff in the background. It's like there's like.
It's like a design.
Basically like a dulled out kinstone, pretty much, and that's it.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Knowing the game, there could have been a billion cooler things that they did with this cover. In my opinion, this is a very boring cover. Plain, it doesn't do anything for me.
It is very. I mean, I love that artwork of Link.
Oh, I do too.
I also love the logo, but it's like that's not enough. This to me really does feel like something that was a super last minute. Or what do we do for the box art? All right, we put something in the back, and then there's Link, and then there's the logo. I feel like there really wasn't a lot of thought put into this one. I don't think it's among the worst. I think I would probably say C tier personally, but I don't know. I just wish there could be more.
I would say C. Like you said, the actual artwork is great. I really like the Minish Cap logo. But yeah, it feels like some kid in their like 8th grade English class was writing a thing about Zelda, and they're like, here's a logo, here's a PNG, here's a background. Presenting Zelda. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. It just feels off.
This is another one too, where it's a shame. At some point, viewers, go look up the Japanese box art, because that uses one of my favorite pieces of official art of all time, and it's the one of Link, like with the forest Minish, like looking around his shoulder.
Yes, that is so cute.
That's great artwork.
See, that's the thing. This game has so many cool things, and there's a lot of really good official art for it. That they chose this as the box art. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. That's okay. But it's a cool game. Bork.
Bork.
Okay. What do you think?
I don't want to just go to all the ones I think are great, so maybe I'll pick the first one that stands out to me as not my favorite. I don't know. I kind of liked it at the time, and I don't know, mix now the original Skyward Sword cover. What do we think about that? Because it is like the goal. I don't know, all these, I feel like they eventually like just get into like a pattern of just like, okay, image, gold, maybe probably put Link on there because people know him. I almost prefer just don't even put him on there. You know what I mean? And then the logo, but it was cool at the time. You got the gold Wiimote too, so it had that gold. I did feel like this is a golden game, you know?
Oh my gosh. Wait, we'll show and tell. I literally have my gold Wiimote right here.
Very nice. Classic.
Yeah. Wow.
It felt, at the time, it did feel special. I'm not really...
I would agree.
Sure, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if it's actually that good.
Well,
I don't know.
if I'm comparing it to the HD cover, I think the HD cover does it better. I'll be honest, which is kind of surprising to me, actually.
We've got them both back to back right there.
Yeah, I just set them next to each other, and the reason,
right next to it, just so we can look.
The main one, like the OG, is beautiful. You've got Fi there in the background. Like you're like, ooh, who is this? It's interesting. And then they did the gold thing, which is whatever. It's expected. And the cool logo. I like the Skyward Strike. You know, you've got a good stance. But then you've got the new one, the HD, where at this point most people have played this game before. They're not afraid to show off
the new one. Fun fact, the new one is actually the box art from the other regions originally. Like
Big
originally
surprise.
The EU and Japan had that box art.
And it's so much better.
Gold with Fi.
It's so much better.
It is much better.
I had not taken a look at the remake really now because I don't even have a copy of it. But looking at it, it's like it just all blends together nicely too because it all has that same like style and like grain to it, and I do like that. It doesn't feel like, even though I think it is just like artwork that they kind of compiled, right? It does feel like kind of uniform and not like, it doesn't feel like a collage is what I'm saying.
It's not like Minish Cap here where they just threw a couple PNGs together, you know?
I feel like we could put both of them on the list right now if you want.
The OG and HD?
Do you want to?
I think we can.
I haven't said my piece on either of them yet.
Go ahead. Say your thing on both. Let's hear it.
I might be the sore thumb in this one, but I think the original is A tier and the remake is S tier. I think these are great.
I would agree. I would agree with HD being S tier, 100%.
I would give you that.
The original, I generally I don't like when they do that gold thing. I think this is one of the best examples of them doing it correctly because this does have something that draws me in. It's got a very, very dramatic, cinematic centerpiece front pose with Link doing the Skyward Strike.
Very Star Wars.
Which, yeah, exactly, very Star Wars. That's seriously though, that is very classic Hollywood movie design artwork poster, and I love that about it. The logo for Skyward Sword is fantastic, and the way that the wings fan out covers a lot of space on the bottom, which makes it look generally occupied.
Full.
And because Link is also not gold, because Link is popping out and the logo is popping out, I think it actually gives some pretty good depth with what is normally a pretty flat gold background when they do that gold thing. I think it actually works really well because you have the giant artwork of Fi looming in the background, almost shrouded in this gold mystery thing.
Yeah,
so that's why
it's pretty exciting too.
Yeah,
there were all these theories about who Fi was and stuff.
And I totally had it right. I mean, I think most people did, but I totally had it right. You know what? I think S tier for the HD and A tier for the SD I think that's a good choice.
I mean, we can, if you guys feel strongly about it, we can always move that around. That's just my personal take. The reason that I think basically everything I just said
about A tier, apply it to S tier, except the background is so much better.
Yeah.
Because it's full color and it's got Girahim and Fi. There's even more depth, and it shows the sky, which is very indicative of the game.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of sky in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually more beautiful than the sky in the game.
It is.
There's a lot less.
Very true.
There's a lot less murky clouds.
Yeah.
It makes you think, wow, the sky's going to be awesome. And then you're in Thundercloud and you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Whoa. Once again, we come for the game. Okay.
Goo, how do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have gone as high.
If you feel strongly about it, we can.
No. I don't. I do. I can see the other one in S, even though it's probably my personal would be each of them down a tier, but that's fine for me. Yeah.
I just to like throw something out here. I feel like the hype leading up to Breath of the Wild was like a beautiful time where so many people were so excited about this game. But for me, I think the biggest hype I ever had for a Zelda game coming out was Skyward Sword. And I don't really know why, but I was so into it. And I think this artwork, like for the original Wii version, had a lot to do with it because it was so interesting to me. If that says anything about it.
The build up to Skyward Sword was exactly the same time that I discovered Zelda Dungeon and started really, really getting into the series and started actually like following news on this stuff. So I'm kind of with you there.
I started doing stuff for ZD. So, but yeah, I was probably pretty hyped at the time. Yeah, that was a big hype for sure.
I actually remember I was at summer school PE, I think, when they announced it, and it was like on our lunch or something, and I had to pull up the news on my iPod Touch that was connected to the Wi-Fi in the cafeteria, and I remember reading it and like screaming that like I'm like the new Zelda, and like no one cared.
Bunch of lamos you went to summer school with.
Oh man, one other kid was excited, but he was my friend. But everyone else, no. What a time!
So
am I next?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with one that I think is lower for me.
Okay.
I don't know if it's C or D, and that's going to be Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks. Okay.
I mean, it has a similar vibe-ish to Phantom Hourglass.
It does. It does have a similar vibe to Phantom Hourglass, but the thing about Phantom Hourglass versus Spirit Tracks, it's the same concept. They have two characters in the front. They have a flat, monotone type of artwork in the back, and they have the logo. But I think Phantom Hourglass, they have that cool old map chart aesthetic. The artwork of the ghost ship, which is something that you don't see a lot in the game, is very interesting. And I think the design in general is just a lot more uniform and pleasant to look at. Now, if you look at Spirit Tracks, that cool artwork in the back is the train that you will be seeing for hours.
And not to mention, the logo is the same train.
There's so many trains.
That's a good point.
I also think too, it's a minor thing, but the way they're framed with the ghost ship and the way like the arms of the stuff comes up on that cover does create kind of this cool look.
It's satisfying.
It's a lot more uniform, and it's a lot more
trains
pleasant.
Here, and then the train logo's up here. It's just sort of like I think, I don't know.
It doesn't flow well.
I also don't love the pose that they chose for Link with his like he's like awkwardly hunched over. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is another one, but I don't know.
I know I keep harping on, and I don't want to bring up the other region box arts too much because hopefully we'll talk about them at some point in the future. Yeah. This is one of the prime examples where the other region has better box art because it's got a really cool dynamic shot of Link and Ghost Zelda, Spirit Zelda or whatever, popping out of the train like, hey, what's up? And it's got like a really cool curving shot of the tracks and like the Tower of Spirits in the background. Like, it's wicked cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's also more indicative of the game. I think this could be slightly misleading because it's Link and a Phantom, but you don't really know that that's Zelda inhibiting the Phantom. So you could think like, oh, is our companion a Phantom? And then you go in and the Phantoms are enemies because you know Phantoms are enemies if you played Phantom Hourglass. It's just, I don't know.
It's not good. It's not great artwork.
Well, now that I'm kind of talking myself down, I'm kind of okay putting it in D tier just because I don't know how many are gonna be in D tier, and I kind of want
really
something
bad. Like, they're pretty good about that. There's nothing you look at it and you're like, ugh.
It's not. No, it's not like it looks ugly or anything. It's just not pleasing. Like, it's not good enough.
I'm okay with D.
It's D for me. It's spiritually D for me, but I think for me, it's actually C, if that makes sense. But if it's just there, unless we find something worse, we could just put it in D. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I think if you look at the little descriptions that I did also, I kind of intentionally put D as meh, not as like bad, because I also agree that there aren't any I look at and think like this is ugly. There are just ones that I look at and I'm like, nah, not really.
You could have done better.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay.
Is it my turn? Or was that mine?
Nico.
That was mine.
Okay.
Right?
No, I picked that one.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. I will I'm gonna do Wind Waker, and I think we should do the same as we did with Skyward Sword.
Okay. Sure.
And maybe just look at them both. And kind of because I think it's a similar situation, although not pulled off to the same extent. Whereas this one, the original, like the focus is the logo. And like it's great because the King of Red Lions, I love the Wind Waker logo. I think it's great. But then the box art,
that's the cover of Wind Waker I had.
Yeah,
Really?
so that's something interesting, is that Wind Waker had different
box arts depending on the version. So this was the initial release art for like version 1.01 or whatever of the game. And then after like a year later, they changed the box art to one that was like a darker gold. It kind of had like a little sunburst thing going on.
Yeah, that's the one.
Artwork.
That's the one I had.
I think this
is that's the one I had too.
I think this is the one that I had. Because this is like this. I recognize this the most.
I don't know if I actually like either. I like the logo is really nice.
I just think this one is a little unfortunate for how beautiful this game was at the time. Obviously, looking back at the original GameCube version now, it's kind of like, okay. But
I think it still looks cool.
I still think it's beautiful, but like you look at something like Breath of the Wild and next to Wind Waker and it's like, oof.
That's God. I was like, I just got to Google it. I don't want to harp on it, but the Japanese box art is incredible.
It's going to be.
It's awesome.
Of course.
And it does convey how beautiful the game is.
That's too bad. And that's what I think this doesn't do. The original GameCube version of Wind Waker just doesn't do it. I think the HD version is better. However, I still think it's not the best. One, it's similar because it does have like the colorful Link in the middle, like they did with the original Skyward Sword artwork. And it kind of like stands out and you've got the gold background. However, it's that artwork where it's just like all the characters, which
so it's like, that actually is the Japanese one, but then in the remake, even in the Japanese one, they did it, but with these new models. And then in the American version, they put the filter. And I just like the classic artwork is great. I don't know.
I think the HD version in the full color would have been so much better for this release. I don't know why they added the gold. Definitely. This is like my least favorite use of the gold because I want to see all those pretty colors because this game is gorgeous. And I would love to see the colors of the characters' clothing and I don't know, like Ganondorf's eyes. And like there's so much color there that is just washed out with gold. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Where should these go?
These are hard. These are hard for me because they're beautiful, but they're disappointing at the same time.
All right. Do you I kind of have a similar thing like with Skyward Sword with these.
Okay.
But a little bit different. I agree that the original one, the gold, is a shame and there's not enough going on there to warrant doing that. I don't think for the original, I'm thinking C or maybe B just because the logo is really good and that artwork is cool. It's an awesome angle. I like that they're placed at the bottom because it's like they're sailing on the ocean and you have like a cool low angle shot of them, which I think that's the only thing that might push it into B for me. That's where I'm leaning for the original. But this might just be me on this. I think the HD version is one of the best box arts they've done. It's really? S tier for me easily.
Even with that gold?
Even with the gold. And I 100% agree it would be so much better without that gold. But besides that, just looking at the design, this is a movie poster.
Oh,
this is 100%.
This is a Marvel movie poster. This is a Marvel movie.
It's got the big villain looming in the background, very coolly looking over his shoulder. It's got a huge array of characters you're going to see. What they're all standing on is like a really cool shrunken down version of the world, which is indicative of like the world traveling you're going to be doing and sailing across the seas.
Tell on this cover though.
You can't tell from looking at this small one, but on the actual box art, I feel like you can. For me, you can tell enough. So
I agree.
I'm looking at S tier for this one.
The artwork is beautiful.
Probably not going to end up near there.
I don't even like the colorful Japanese remake cover. I think I don't know. I don't like the 3D model of it. I think it's cooler, like that classic stuff with where it looks like it's drawn on like a map and stuff. Whereas these now they're like these like smooth round guys. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really like that.
You don't like the smooth round guys, huh? Oh,
doesn't like smooth round guys.
And it's super.
I love smooth round guys.
It's super like it's like super sun. It's like way too sunny. It's like there's too much light.
The game is sunny. It's a sunny game.
The whole game is so sunny.
It's like it is to the point where it's like washed out though. I think.
No.
I don't know. I don't like it that much. I don't hate it, but I actually kind of like the gold.
So my original thoughts. My original thoughts were original version in B and the HD version in A. But what would you guys do?
Personally, mine would
the original would have been mine.
Okay. C for the original. All right, then let's say I'll go C for the original too.
Yeah.
So we can put C. We can put the original in C. I would have done S for the HD. So Nico, you said A. Goo, you said B.
Yeah, but if you're really gung ho about it, I mean,
I'm okay settling on A because it's like I don't want to. Because you also seemed you had relatively strong feelings about it compared to some of the other ones, so I'm okay putting it in A.
Okay. Because now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think Legend of Zelda is like the best one on here. So if that's an A, this should be an A.
Okay.
I think that's fair. A.
Spite A.
It's our spiteful A. Okay, I think that's a pretty fair placement.
All right. I'm calm now.
Gosh, look at all this gold.
I'm calm.
I am calm.
Masi's ref.
Oh my gosh.
Whose was that?
That was mine.
Okay.
I knew that would be
back down.
Heated. Nope, you have to guess.
No. Okay. I'm gonna do. Did we do the Twilight Princesses?
We have not.
We haven't done either yet.
Let's do those because I don't know.
We'll put.
I don't know about these.
Do them both.
Yeah. Let's do them both. We should have done that for all of the remake ones, but
I think
fine.
It's more fair.
The original actually kind of looks cool, honestly. I think just the way it's sort of like framed with the two different colors and like the art. I will say I think the big art, especially of the Wolf Link, which isn't really something I even love about the game, but I think it looks really cool. And it's nice. It's like cool and big. I was like, when I picked it, I was like, do I like this? And I pulled it up. I'm like, yeah, actually I do. Whereas like, I don't know. I actually don't know about the remake. It like, it's just weird. It's another one. It's not quite like Spirit Tracks where it's like this thing's here, but it is sort of like something's off about it, you know? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I love the original, actually. I think it's my favorite part of the game.
The box art.
It's the box art.
My favorite part of the game is before I even open it.
You know what? We can keep it closed. It's fine. I don't hate Twilight Princess. I think it's a great game, but like the cover art, I think is like the OG cover art is like OP. Like it's so good because it's like you've got Link and you've got Wolf Link, and it's like, oh, it's dramatic. It's like so anime. This is like the most anime box art.
Very anime,
and I love that. Whereas the HD version is it's big and it's colorful, and you've got like good versus evil, which is very cool, but it is a little like cut out collage-y. I don't love that.
Colors are strange. I don't know.
The colors make sense because those
Twilight Princess has some weird colors.
Those are definitely the color palettes in the game, but
it looks a little like bile.
Yeah,
both different colors of bile.
I would just say I think the original is better than the remake box art in this case.
Do you agree, Corey?
No, I disagree.
Of course.
But I mean,
of course.
But I like them both. I would put HD one tier above the original. Okay. But I like them both. I think they're both cool. I like the split on both of them. I just
think the remake is more pleasing to look at.
I think the original gets kind of a little bit faded out, but it is
the entire game is faded out. What are you talking about?
I don't subscribe to that opinion.
I'm just trying to bring Andy in. I'm sorry.
It is anime as heck. I think
personally, I would either go B for both of them or B for the original and A for the remake.
I don't think the remake deserves to be above the original.
B for both. I don't mind at all.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Great offer. Great offer.
I think they're good for their different reasons.
I do think on any given day, my opinion on these two might change as well.
That's fair.
Like I might pick up the original one day and be like, this is sick. Like this is how the artwork should be. And then another day I'll pick up the HD version and be like, yeah, but look at those colors. Look at that bile.
Maybe there's just something about like, I guess now I know the game, so it doesn't matter, but I just think of like, it might just be my memories, but I look at the original cover and I remember thinking like, whoa, there's like a wolf.
Whoa.
And it's Link and they have like the duality. Whereas like this, they kind of have that, but it's like you got Link riding a horse and Midna. It's like, look at all these guys. Like this is like all my guys I know. You know?
These are the guys.
The original's like,
look at these guys.
Oh, I feel like that the remakes covers are typically for like, here's the crew, you know, whereas like the originals are like,
it's literally
going on here. What do you want to know what's going on here? Yeah,
it's literally what they do. Yeah. I mean, look at the HD remakes. You've got more characters, and more characters.
I think Skyward Sword does do it best.
Yeah, I would agree. Skyward Swords is definitely the best
because they could have slapped like Groose on there, Impa on there, and could have just been like a photo of them like hanging out, but it still keeps that like kind of like you said,
somewhat
it does
mysterious.
Keep the feeling of the original.
This is it's actually kind of interesting because like Skyward Sword HD does what Twilight Princess HD was trying to do, but like way better because you get the good and the evil, but it's as simple as basically, here are the two swords. One is a good one is a bad one. Instead of here's a bunch of good characters and here's a bunch of bad characters in a color scheme. Whereas not Twilight Princess, Skyward Swords just like feels so connected, but it's obviously split. I don't know. I think it's better.
And it's like, look at these swords. They're skyward.
Exactly.
They're pointed to the sky.
Oh my gosh. There's a whole lot of swords on that cover.
Before I pick the next one, we've actually talked myself into believing that the original Twilight Princess is better than the remake. So do we want to bump the original up, or are we okay with B and B?
Do we?
I think Nico might want to.
I'm cool with that. I was gonna suggest A for the original.
I kind of like it more than I thought, but I was like, I don't know if I want to say it's awesome.
I mean, you talked me up, Goo.
Okay, fine, do it. Who cares?
We're doing it. We're doing it.
All right.
Uh-oh, our tier's getting unruly though.
Don't worry, I can zoom.
Right,
I can zoom out. It'll be better. It'll be fine.
Let's do one that I think Goo and I might disagree on.
Oh, here we go, baby.
Let's do Link's Awakening.
Okay.
I think this is a D tier box art.
It's too.
You can only have a mysterious monocolor background with the logo
so much in a series, especially when that's entirely my point though. The first two are just simple graphic with a gold background. We get the gold association, at least on the original two. There's like some sort of cool image on there. Then you get A Link to the Past, which we'll get to, which is just the logo on a gold background, and I can see, okay, maybe that one, it's just a big expansive thing, they're going for the mystery. But then they do it again, with almost the same exact logo.
Yes.
But
it says Game Boy on the side.
It does say
Game Boy logo is cool. And it makes me think of being 7 years old. Okay?
I think it makes me think of playing the Game Boy.
The Super Nintendo logo is better than the Game Boy logo.
Yeah, you're right.
I would agree with that.
I will do this. Can we just do them both right now?
Sure.
Because here's how I feel. A Link to the Past, I think it's awesome because it takes those vibes of the first two games, but it's the first game I think that Zelda steps into more of its own and doing its own thing, and it creates like more of Zelda that we know, and it's the first one to have that logo. That each game, even the ones where they change the box art, they have that same logo, and I think that's it should be S tier for creating this awesome iconic logo that even, Wind Waker has it, but they all do their own spin on it, except for the ones that just copy it poorly. And I think it's awesome, iconic, and also the unique class, similar to the drawing on the cover of The Legend of Zelda. It's like this wholly unique piece of artwork that makes you think like, what's going on? What is this? I think it's awesome. And Link's Awakening, it's literally the same art of like the shield and the sword. So that's kind of where I knock it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I get it because it's sort of like it's like being like, hey, it's a Link to the Past but handheld. Like that's, I feel like, kind of the marketing is that this is like Zelda as you know it, but on Game Boy.
Game Boy.
And then even with Ocarina of Time, I get it. It's like, hey, this is that game but it's for a new generation. And it's even more. It's got the Hylian shield, so it's like. But anyway, I think A Link to the Past has got to be S tier for like, it really sets the tone of the Legend of Zelda series, and I had to say that to also contextualize how I feel about Link's Awakening. I don't know if it's D tier. I think maybe it's one of those things where it's like the logo already looks cool to me, but it's not unique, and it doesn't really, like, there's more to the game than, it doesn't evoke really the game that well, I guess.
Not at all.
Yeah. I'll give you, originally, if this were my own tier list, I would have put A Link to the Past in D tier as well. But you definitely sold me on the idea that
it's literally just a color and a logo.
It's just a color and a logo. That's not enough for me. Like, you're saying that A Link to the Past is when Zelda really comes on its own and starts establishing staples of the series. So why would you want to show less of the game on the box art?
I think that's cool. I think it looks evocative. You just look at it and it's this giant logo with this huge shield. Like, I don't know. I think that looks better than, I don't think there's other ones that even give a good I don't know.
Well, regardless, I do really love the introduction of the logo. I'm not saying D tier for that one. I would go at least B for A Link to the Past. But Link's Awakening, it's especially when, like you're saying, A Link to the Past started a trend of using this Zelda with cool graphic and big red letters. When that becomes a staple for the next 17, it makes the ones that come before it subsequently less unique. Aside from A Link to the Past, which is the first one, the second one should get no points for that. Like, at all. Especially when it's just the logo on a gold background, which is not... That's done 3 times here. Like, I don't know.
I'll agree that Link to the Past deserves to be higher up, and that Link's Awakening probably deserves to be pretty low, because it's literally copy-paste with different text. That's
and
it.
The Game Boy.
And the Game Boy.
And the Game Boy. I mean, man, just like, to bring it up again, look at the Japanese box art of Link's Awakening. Like, that's awesome.
I don't know what it is.
It's the sweet classic artwork of Link jumping up with the egg in the background and Marin and Terran and the owl all hanging out there.
So sad.
That is really cute. Yeah, I like that.
So,
okay.
So
what do you? I'm okay with going low for that one, I guess.
What do you think? Let's decide Link's Awakening first. Nico, what do you? I'm voting D. What do you think, Nico?
I agree with
for
D.
Placement.
For Link's Awakening, I will agree with D.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Let's do D, and in concession, we can push A Link to the Past higher up.
Okay,
I do think it deserves to be high up.
Where do you think, Nico?
I do have an issue with it being so simple. Not that the original Legend of Zelda isn't that, but I think the original Legend of Zelda had its purpose for doing so. You know, we already talked about that. This one could have given more, but it did create the logo that has been used ever since in every Zelda game since then, up until... No, it's like literally the same still. And I think that says a lot about it, because it did change the way the Zelda games are structured, and it sort of created the Zelda formula, and not only in the game itself, but in the cover art, in the logo of how the games are presented to us. It is simple, but it does evoke that sense of mystery in my mind. Link's Awakening does not, because it's we already know it. It's not special. I would put it in A.
I'm fine with A.
I am now torn between A and S.
Corey.
I would not have put it
Corey
this high originally.
You said D before.
You said
I know.
You've been talked from D to S.
Because I'm in my heart, I don't think it's an S tier design. But for the weight of introducing that iconic logo, I could concede putting it in S tier, because that is one of the boldest, biggest design choices that has ever been done on a Zelda box art, because it had such staying power.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at. I actually think some of the games like that followed were these ones where we're talking about where they're just like, okay, we made a cool logo, we put it here, artwork, gradient gold over it. Some of those would be better if they just put the logo, in my opinion, because they made a cool logo.
I think, for example,
I think Minish Cap would be better.
Minish Cap, Ocarina of Time 3D, I think both would have been better without the artwork.
I'm not saying they would be the best, but I think, I don't know, there is something like evocative about even just the logos. Even we said the Twilight Princess one is cool, but that logo is a good example where it's like it's got the wolf and the or even the King of Red Lions, and you're like,
a cool logo.
What is that? You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying they should be that way. I'm just saying some like it's like they came up with the cool logo and then they skimped on the box art, you know. And I do like this one that it's just like bam, it's in your face. It's also too, I'm also thinking at this point where it's like now by this point Zelda is like a powerhouse, and it's just like bam, we just put Zelda and a shield on the box, and that's all you freaking need.
A good point.
You know?
It was bold. It was bold to just be like, look, it's Zelda.
Yeah.
I think that's cooler than like, oh, here's some artwork of Link, you know, you like him.
Yeah, which makes sense for now, because now at this point in time, Link is just like what people know. So it makes sense to put Link on the box. Where back then people knew the name Zelda. And so what you want to do, you want to put Zelda
in the game.
The guy in the game, Zelda.
Yeah, of course.
You want to put that. That's what you want people to see and get their attention.
What if this is why everyone confused that? What if this logo is specifically why people think Link is Zelda?
I think putting Zelda the boy on the cover is Minish Cap is what confused everyone. Like, that's Zelda.
Now, wait a minute. What if
you play The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and you're like, yeah, the main character's name is in the title. You're talking about Link, not Zelda. People are like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, S tier works for me.
Cool. I'm
okay. It's
there.
Also a good concession to me because I do not like seeing Link's Awakening down that low.
In D tier, I know.
But I understand the principle.
It's
so
literally the same. Well, do we want to just get Ocarina of Time done with then, because it's the same?
I kind of do. It's the same conversation.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, is it? Let's look at the cover big, because maybe there's some details we're missing.
I promise you, there's not. It's literally the Hylian shield, the Master Sword.
The Hylian shield, though.
Yeah, it's different.
I can't. This is D tier for me too.
I think it's.
I can't. I'm sorry.
The Hylian shield is cool.
The Master Sword is cool. Those are things that are in the game, but it's the exact same design as the last two games.
No, the sword goes with the Z. That's cool.
It's true.
Gooey.
I don't know. In a way, there's like Ocarina of Time. It's like there's elements of it that are like in the gameplay that are like, this is only in here because it was in A Link to the Past, and it's like, I guess that's what's in a Zelda game. And that's kind of how I feel about the art. Like, it's trying to let you know that this is like the game you know and love. Like, that's all it really needed to be. And I think it's a masterpiece despite that. So I don't know. I can't go that low. I think it still pops like with the shield and everything, but I think it's better. It's better than Link's Awakening.
I
actually think it's great, but I would put it like in the context of our list, I would put it in B, I guess. But for me, for me, it's way higher, but that's maybe just personal feelings. I
could be talked up to C. It's
better than the remake cover, I think.
This is what I wanted to say. I think it's better than the 3D, because the 3D wanted to make it better but failed because I don't think they did a great job.
That's what I mean, where it's like, why are you even bothering with this artwork?
I will say this.
It's not doing anything.
The one thing that they do with Ocarina of Time, yeah, it's simple. It's the same style as A Link to the Past, but they made like the metallic 3D renders that kind of home back to like the first two games. You know, you've got the shininess. It's more of like metallic.
Only for Nintendo 64.
It's got right there in the corner.
It's designed for the Nintendo 64 controller.
I would say this is B tier. Like, if I was just making this list really quick and just throwing them on, I would probably just throw a B tier and like not even think about it. It's a very mediocre, like it's good.
Mm.
But it could have portrayed so much more of the greatest game of all time. Like, people claim this is the best video game ever, and it has a pretty boring artwork.
One other thing I'll say too, I don't think it's boring. I think it's way better than everything in B, for example. I just take points off because it's not as original, but I think I just like the classic simple style better. So that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like yeah, I definitely agree, like it's not original, but just my personal taste, I just think it looks way cooler than, you know, some of the, like, the way they, I don't know, it looks more beautiful to me than just some of the, you know, we put some of the key artwork here and mix some things around. I don't know. It's definitely better than Link's Awakening.
I do think it's better than Link's Awakening. I don't really want to go any higher than C. I would still personally put it in D. None of these arguments are holding any, like, if things had followed suit with what Ocarina of Time was doing, which was following up on the last 2 games behind it, then we would have 17 Zelda games with a gold background and a new logo.
Well, we have a few, if we're being honest.
I think it all tracks. I think the path of A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time are like these games building.
They're like, yes, but that's not at all what Ocarina of Time is remembered for.
People don't think of Ocarina of Time and think, oh man, that's so much like A Link to the Past. Ocarina of Time's legacy
a totally new thing,
overshadowed A Link to the Past immensely. And I think A Link to the Past should get more credit.
Yeah.
I think that's completely true. People remember Ocarina of Time, just the general gaming landscape, people attribute so much more to Ocarina of Time than A Link to the Past, when they should be giving A Link to the Past more credit than it gets. And by what you're saying, this design is supposed to be calling back to A Link to the Past, but I don't think anyone really thinks that.
Yeah, and I just wish more people appreciated Ocarina of Time because of that.
Because of that.
And
I agree.
I also think people should appreciate the new things it introduced. I love that about how it did change. It did change. You can't deny, obviously, that it changed a lot about gaming, obviously.
Yeah.
It is groundbreaking in a lot of ways that A Link to the Past just, it's not, you know. But I also think people should appreciate it for doing that, but also for building off of such another awesome game.
Where am I putting this?
I do agree.
Where am I putting
I
this?
don't even know.
For me, we can move it down. I said earlier that it's S tier, but I with what I'm saying, in the logic of what I think, it's A tier. But if you're saying D tier, maybe Nico could be a tiebreaker.
And I said B tier.
Okay, if Goo's concession is
2 tiers down into B tier, and Nico also
says B tier, then let's do B tier.
And you're saying D. I think a middle ground on B tier is fine.
That's fine.
This is great. This is the most intense episode.
Jeez, we have so well the problem
at each other's throats.
The problem is
I'm gonna put knives in the.
We all have some like such different connection to these games, and like obviously that's a big part of whether or not we're gonna like the artwork of it. But on top of it, we're all just like, everyone has their own artistic preferences, so it's like that's a big reason they're so different.
There's this whole other aspect of me to. This is not how I judge the game artwork, but I look at some of these and I'm like, I would wear that on a t-shirt. You know what I mean? That looks cool. And I know that's not, but I would not throw.
Should we all get matching Spirit Track t-shirts?
In that vein, any of the ones that
I like for a lot of the artwork, I would never wear it on a t-shirt. I would so much rather wear the Ocarina of Time logo on a t-shirt.
It looks tight. I don't know.
I had this on a t-shirt.
But that's not what I'm looking for in a boxer.
No, but it's just.
I think it's just what we're looking for in a boxer.
There's just something about it that calls out to me more. I don't know.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, we got 5 left. Oh man,
let's get going.
Let's do Majora's Mask 3D. Obviously, this is
not as trippy.
this is just me and being obsessed with Majora's Mask. I love this artwork so much.
Oh,
I think this is one of the best pieces of Zelda artwork, official artwork that there's ever been.
This is tight.
I think this is the best box art they've ever done.
Really?
The best.
I am really happy to hear you say that. I was going to suggest
here.
Let's do it.
Why not?
Majora's Mask 3D has such sick artwork.
It totally does. That makes me so. Although Mossies does complain that it is the old moon, and it's not the moon that's actually in Majora's Mask 3D, which is true.
Oh,
it is the N64 moon in a 3D render.
Interesting.
It's a totally different design in the game. Do I care?
That's all right.
No, because it still looks awesome.
The other ones are drawings of them.
I think it looked better before, anyways.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I like the old moon better.
That's like my biggest gripe with the 3D version of the game is that they changed the moon.
The moon's like, hi.
He's just weird in the new one.
I also really just like the like scale of it and like how things get like more faded as you go back into the background.
Yeah.
Also, the banker, like, pretty cool.
And you've got Skull Kid in the back. Love it.
This is exactly what I was explaining about what I like in these, like kind of like with Wind Waker HD, but so much better. Because you got the moon looking behind and something looming in the back, and you got all the depth.
Of the screen it takes up too.
Yeah,
and it's cool. Like another backdrop to the logo, which has the mask as a backdrop.
Yeah, not to mention the mask. The logo's amazing.
And also, I think this is like the best color scheme out of any of the box arts.
It's super unique, and it's real. This is something that I see on a shelf, and I'm like, whoa!
I want to play that.
I need that.
I have a I gave it to McKenna, but I had a sweater that's like all around print of just like the area around Link, but it's like a sweater with all that, and like it just looks cool as the color scheme. It just like looks. It's like a nice color to wear, I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can all agree that Majora's Mask has good artwork.
Yeah, not much. That's good.
We did it.
Good job.
That was you, Nico?
That was me.
You want to do the Oracle games?
Sure.
They're kind of similar. Do you feel like one's better than the other?
I think they're the same
level.
Yeah. What level is that?
I got to pull up a nice big.
I'm looking at
maybe C. I think it's got a similar
C or B. I think it's kind of similar in essence to Minish Cap, where it's got artwork of Link, it's got the logo, and then something in the background. But with the Oracle games, the something in the background is just a little bit better.
Yeah.
I like B, actually. It's another one. I'm thinking of this in the context of like seeing those games in the wild for the first time, and like it has a similar thing of Pokemon, where it's like you got the red one and the blue one. You're like
the red and the blue.
Oh, my friend got the red one, and and like you have the characters. It's like it is the sort of thing where it's like the gradient, but
that's true too. Is that like anytime you're in a gaming store and you see these for sale, they're going to be next to each other 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. So you get the awesome contrast with both of those colors every time you see it, pretty much.
I think I would probably put them in B, because I mean, they're like, if I look at the other ones that we have there, it's the same. It's just as gripping. Like they're really cool. They're not like incredible, like gonna jump out at you, but they're way more interesting than this stuff that we have here in C tier.
It also says on the bottom, here's a great thing about it. Play both for the ultimate adventure, and has a picture of both of the boxes on the box.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it says Game Boy on the side, and then it says only for Game Boy in the corner. So
we got a lot of information on this box art.
And I think it would be better if you stripped some of that away. Like, we get it. It's on Game Boy. Yeah. There's another one.
Yeah.
You know.
Are we good with B?
Yeah, let's do B.
I like B.
The Oracle games aren't among my favorite Zelda games, but they actually are among my favorite official art styles.
Yes.
And you get to see official art in the background of Nehru and Din, which is kind of like a rare... You don't get a lot of that in either the game or official materials, and I think that's really nice because they have awesome designs.
All right. We have 2 left. And it's everyone's 2 favorite Zelda games.
Yep.
Breath of the Wild and The Adventure of Link, the 2 best ones.
The 2 best ones, yeah.
Everyone's favorites. Okay.
Let's do Zelda 2.
Okay, what do we think about Zelda 2?
Look at that sword.
The sword is so cool.
That is a sick sword.
I really like this. As a follow-up to the original, I think it's pretty cool. I'll be honest.
Keeps that style. It kind of works as a companion piece too, because you got the shield and then you got the sword. And just I love the detail on the sword hilt and everything like that. It's still got the thing for the gold, which is cool. And I don't know, I just love that.
Which is in the shape of the shield from the first box art.
Yeah, it's like you got that, now get the sword. And yeah, no, I just love the classic logo font and all that stuff. It's not an era I existed in, but I just think that's like it's just beautiful. It looks like handcrafted to me. It looks like the cover of a fantasy novel.
It does.
So I love it.
I think it's cool.
I like it, but how high do you guys want to put it?
I would say it's a B tier for me.
I was going to say B tier.
I think it's awesome.
You think it's A tier awesome?
Yeah. He thinks it's awesome.
Actually,
you want a sword and shield together?
Well,
or do we?
Well, if you guys are both saying B, if it was my personal list, it would be in S. But if you both say B,
that's a sweet sword. But like, what even is that? That's not even in any game.
Yeah, it is
at all.
That's the
ever.
Yeah, no, it is
Link's.
No,
that's Zelda's sword.
It's the sword of. Did you catch that?
It's the sword of
It's telling you this is the sword you have in the game.
Yeah.
Hey, so remember that sword that you got in the first game that doesn't look like this? This is it.
It's better now.
It's cooler.
You won't believe these graphics.
That's what I love about that era of the art, though, was that it's like it just gets you imagining like what does this game look like in your mind in a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Brings in the imaginary element to it.
Let's do Breath of the Wild.
Oh, heck yeah.
No, let's do the other one.
The sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you guys think about Breath of the Wild?
I don't know, actually.
I have my thoughts.
I think
it's nice.
I think I think it's pretty great.
I love it for a lot of reasons. I think the biggest one being that Link is not looking at the front, like he's looking away.
Yeah,
and I think that says a lot.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, don't. And do you know what this is?
Don't look at me.
I think this is like the one time I like the US version better than the EU version.
In the EU one, he is like,
I agree.
It's so uncomfortable. He's just like awkwardly like.
I didn't
he's
see
like
there.
He's like looking up over his shoulder, like what you see.
I hate it. I think it's the worst. This artwork is perfect. Like
I would.
This is the kind of artwork where it's like he's looking out over Hyrule, and it's like you can go to there. That's where you can go there. Yeah. That's exciting.
Not only is this representative of like a moment in the game,
like when you come out of the when you come out of the
you don't
Shrine
come
of
out
Resurrection,
with the champion's armor.
No, but it's indicative of that, and it is also indicative of the whole MO of the game, and it is also somewhat calling back to that old official artwork from Zelda 1 of Link looking at the little dueling peaks. Even though there is actual Breath of the Wild official artwork that is mimicking that, this is that same kind of thing.
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
To me, this is S tier, in my opinion.
I was going to vote A tier, but I wouldn't be mad about S tier.
What are your thoughts, Goo?
Well, let me actually just say, I think it looks nice and stuff, but it doesn't get me going. Like, really? I don't know what it is, though. I think maybe it's because I just feel like I think about the game, and I actually think it's like the game is way more beautiful. I actually think the artwork of Link climbing up the side of that mountain is more beautiful and evocative of like the game style. But I mean, I still think this is a really solid cover. But for me, it would be. I don't even want to come out hard against it.
Literally,
for me, it'd be more in a B tier. Yeah, I love that. And it's the one where you have like it's got like pink and all that different stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I actually think the game, it has like almost like this Studio Ghibli sort of feel.
It does.
And we've said before, like I don't think the game totally has to like one for one match what the game actually looks like, but I think actually this I don't know, it just doesn't fully get that for me. But it does. What I do like it conveys. I like the logo. I like that it conveys. It's that classic logo, but now it's worn away and
and you've got the
flowers growing on it, and the Master Sword's all dirty and stuff. That's cool. So it conveys sort of that.
That's actually what brings me down. Exactly what you said is what brings me from S to A. Is that like I think the design of this is really cool, but it doesn't represent how beautiful Breath of the Wild is. That's something I like the EU version better on that front. I think color wise, it pops a lot more and it's a lot prettier.
But you can't get over Link staring at you.
Yeah, if they just keep Link looking away from me, but a little better colors, I think this would be S tier.
I can see that. I think one thing I've always how I've always viewed this artwork, and I mean, they used this artwork for so much in the US for the marketing for this game. And I think a really big part of it for me is that like Link is looking at the sunrise and like, it's sort of like here's like, this is the dawn of something new. This is like, to me, the cover art for this game was very like thought out.
He's actually looking to the north, so if you think about it, it's not.
Yeah, he's actually looking to the shut up. I don't know. I just think that it's very representative of what the game is meant to be, not necessarily art style wise, because I do agree the game itself is prettier.
The actual full like image of it, I do really like.
Yes,
it looks like painted.
I'm trying to remember. Does this expand onto the back of the case?
Oh, we should have thought about that.
I want to say it does.
I feel like it does.
I think also there is like just expanded versions of this artwork that they did use for like
everything,
the special box arts. Yeah, and just like the giant posters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This works better to me when I have the full image and I'm like, this is great. This looks like A tier. I think is good.
I would be super cool with A tier for this guy.
Nice.
Let's see if I can make these a little bit smaller.
Look at that P.
That's like,
oh my gosh, wait, it actually it's just
really stretched out.
Really stretched, but it is.
I would say, do we want to move anything? But we have some really. This is like one of the more contentious episodes.
I think if we moved anything, too many things would have to move.
I think we debated everything enough the first time around. I think we're probably good.
Well, great. I mean, I love this list. It's like total mishmash of our like feelings and stuff.
Funny.
Oh, go ahead.
Funny enough, I tend to, when I make these,
I tend to do a really quick like personal version of my own, just to kind of get a sense of where my thoughts are at. And mine was almost like a reverse of this. I was really heavy in like the C tier, like less keen on some of these, but I like this because it's our list. It's the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was worried that it was going to be like all B, but I actually think it makes sense the way it is, Like, of course, there'll be some, like, a lot of concessions in the middle, but then we let the ones that really speak to us or don't speak to us kind of show, everyone's represented well. I loved making passionate arguments. That was fun.
This might be one of our only tier lists ever where Link's Awakening is on the bottom tier.
That's fair.
I mean, come on.
That's fair.
Come on.
Just rub it in a little more.
What if they just kept the same logo every game? I would be mad.
We wouldn't be making this video.
Well, that was honestly fun. That was so fun. I loved arguing with you.
Yeah, that was good.
I liked that, yeah.
Yeah. It was, you know, it's more fun to argue than just trash on one thing that one of us like really
that one of us loves.
Listen,
oh boy.
Listen.
In that same vein, we have Skyward Sword in the top tier. You're never going to see that again.
Well, we did the music on the Player Power.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Good point. That was us too.
Wow. All right.
Cool.
All right. We gotta get
Y'all
out
hate
of
me.
here.
Y'all are so mean to me. It's fine. I'm just here
Nico,
all alone at the bottom of the totem.
We love you. Skyward Sword is good.
Who else is gonna hold us all up?
Yeah.
Don't make me cry.
All right, we should get out of here. This is our longest episode, but maybe our most fun. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and to you two for doing this. And you know, check out we got our links and stuff in the description. Comment other tier lists that we should do, other topics, and let us know how right or wrong each of us is. I love hearing that. I hope someone is mad at all of us. Why not?
Someone's gonna be mad at
Please get mad at us. Just get mad at us in the comments.
All right, and yeah, with that, we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Wow.